Are you ready? Can Crush Us. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah, Can Crushers. Yeah, Can Crushers. Let's go.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
You even had you just looking at you had a big hello, but I think my gobbles took over.
Well, here's the thing. I had the big hello when we first came on, talking to each other. I was muted, so you heard none of it. So then I had to redeem myself for the podcast, I think.
Welcome to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
Yeah. I'm Ron
Sir
Burgundy.
Michael. I am Ron Burgundy. Listen, it's a holiday week, off night. I don't know if my voice knows what to do on this. That's Sir Michael Jenks. I'm Mark the Mark. Jenksy, it is the worst special we could have of gimmicks.
Yeah, it's time. It's time we review these and just relive our past that we've kind of tried to lock away for many, many, many years.
Listen, when I was doing these, I had forgotten about some of them. And before we get to the past, we have to cover something good too. But, Jenks, I was getting angry about some of these on last Sunday when I was doing them, watching stuff on TV.
It was, when I was doing them, it was like, fuck. I remembered they existed. Some of them were, Jesus Christ, bad taste ever. Some of them were like, oh, fuck, this guy again. And then some were just like, hey, he was a good athlete.
He was a good athlete.
He was a good athlete. But
I'm sure we're going to crisscross on some. Some are probably on the degenerate wall of the podcast room.
As they should be. They should be, yeah.
I agree. But before we get to the worst gimmicks, by the way, we both brought 10 to the table, and prior to recording, I think we both said we could have brought 90 to the table.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have 10 that I have ready to go, but I also know I have a list past that where I was just rattling them off.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about this before. First pass, we were just going to sit there and try to write down. Basically, just what do we got? And first pass was easy. Just fuck this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And then there's some you look up and like, oh, Jesus, I forgot he was a part of this.
Yeah. So before we get to that, this past Thursday was Thanksgiving. We hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving with whomever you love and you're hanging out with, your family, as we call here on Can Crushers. We don't want this to be boom and doom the whole time or gloom. So, Jenks, I asked you, and he had no idea I was going to do this. Besides the family part of it, because we both love hanging out with family, do that. What's 5 things that you love about Thanksgiving?
That's fair. You knew I'd have these answers because I'm a big guy and I have like my food.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. No. Yeah, you talked about family. I'm going to go off the top and say I do the turkey trot every year, which is basically you can run or walk a 5K, 10K, whatever you want to do. It's become a family thing now where all my sisters this year have signed up for it. Their significant others begrudgingly have signed up because they signed up. Kimberly's joining us from my thing. Two of her relatives are joining us. Her mom and sister are joining us. So
are you taking the doggos?
We can't take the doggo. Technically, we're not supposed to take the doggos, but also it's going to be cold. So we're going to be freezing our asses off.
Or you already did. Remember? Because
we did. Well, it's how you perceive it. And right now, my mind is still defrosting. So already did, what. But the turkey trot is always something we do every year. So it's one of those things that I do enjoy a lot. Outside of that, we usually play games at Thanksgiving, whether it be Jackbox, if you guys have ever played that. The newest one came out, so we were playing that a little bit this year. Obviously, the food, stuff in our faces. You gotta love that. Great cooking and all of that stuff. The other two are really, it's the time of year, it's that week of Thanksgiving where it's like, man, Christmas is almost here, so that really 'tis the season feelings lurking, and it's kind of there tickling your spine and all of that you just want to get out. And it's also that time where you're like, oh, man, this fucking snow's ready to hit us and pound us and make us forget everything we ever knew about it. And the final one is actually a recent development over the past couple of years and will only happen once in a while. But hey, my anniversary falls on Thanksgiving, so I got to give the shout out there. So this year would be number 3 for Kimberly and I. And so obviously we've done some stuff ahead of time to kind of have our anniversary dinner and just enjoy each other's company. But yeah, that's probably the 5 things I look forward to. What about you?
Sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows on.
Is that 3 or 1?
That's 1.
The way you said it was
number 1. Oh wait, sweet potato. No. Sweet potato casserole with the 1 on. I don't know why it's not a thing that's made all year round. Yeah. I really don't, because essentially it's yams, right? Sweet potatoes, yams, whatever you want to call them. But it only comes around our neck of the woods like once, maybe twice a year, and this is it. So that's number 1. A nice nap after the meal. I mean this wholeheartedly, because like there's days that you eat and you're like, oh man, I'm pretty full. I overeat on Thanksgiving for the nap.
Yeah.
Because it puts you in that coma. It is one of the greatest naps of the year. I don't care what anybody says.
It's one of those things where you look forward to passing out and not knowing where the hell you are, what time of day it is, and where you're waking up at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I would be cheesy as much as it's not as cool as when I was younger. Man, I thrive to watch the giant balloons on Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yeah.
I really do. And then to see Santa at the end of the thing, because we've been talking Christmas a lot more than we've ever talked Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see Santa this year. Like, I'm pumped. Like, I want to see Santa. Normally I'm like, oh, fucking Santa Claus is coming.
Okay.
Bring him in. Bring him in. Back him up.
Because of that play you were in last year, it brought the Christmas joy back.
Yeah, bah humbug. That's I bet you that's what it is.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me is, listen, this is the only time I watch the Detroit Lions play. It doesn't matter when they're on. I dedicate Detroit Lions football and get excited to be their number 1 fan.
Yeah.
In 5, I guess the same thing. You know, we kind of sit around and play games as well, like Cards of Humanity, or back in the day my grandma would play or something like that, or she would sit and watch. She couldn't hear 99% of the year, but when we were playing Cards Against Humanity, which people know is pretty rough, she understood everything right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. Grandma's on point that day.
Right? What'd you just say? Nothing.
Nothing.
I didn't know you knew those words.
I'm just reading, Grandma.
Yeah, this card says this, Graham. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what this means.
Right? But we hope you guys had an amazing Thanksgiving and all of that wrapped up into it. And you ate, you napped, you watched the Lions, you played games, you put up a shed, you played football like they did on Friends.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a turkey bowl when you were?
We tried when we were adults to do a turkey bowl. It didn't take off.
Yeah. We just don't have it. We didn't have enough to do ever, like, that would be me playing against myself.
That was about it. We didn't have enough, and when we did, we kind of ended up doing it around Halloween or, like, earlier in the year, just so, because, listen, we don't want to be outside in the middle on Thanksgiving weather, because it could be snowing at that point.
Right.
Yeah, so we'd always do, like, Halloween or something like that, so it wasn't around Thanksgiving, but, yeah.
I get it. Guys, we'll do one sponsor today. We'll do one sponsor. The rest of them are all down in the show notes, right? You guys know that. This is a special. We shouldn't really be having sponsors, but we do want to tell you about Buy Blackick. It's unbelievable.
So many great options out there, from hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, whatever your heart desires. So many categories. Praising the Lord to playing football to hallelujah, praising beer. It's all across the board while you're on there. Doggos, Catos, whatever. Enjoy it. Go ahead and click the link in our show notes. That'll get you 15% for the usage of whatever you do buy on their site. I was messing that up there. See, I was trying to overcompensate for screwing up the other sponsor, Collar and Elbow, last time.
Oh, I see. But, guys, everything, holiday edition, we're going to keep it short and sweet. You know where all our sponsors are. Click on them, support them 100%. Without them, we're not here. Without you, we're not here.
Yep.
We are thankful for the whole... I was going to make a heart with my hands, but it doesn't really matter. Does that work?
Yeah. I mean, you're not even in the photo.
Good.
Kind of, yeah. We'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
No,
you know where you can listen. You know how to get a hold of us. We'll go through all this stuff again next week. Just sit back and listen to this special this week. We're going to rip some wrestlers apart for having the worst effing gimmicks that are out there.
Yeah. And what a perfect time, because probably we were inspired by a worst gimmick that came out at around this time of year. Not saying it made lists, but it inspired us to, hey, Thanksgiving, why don't we talk about the worst effing gimmicks?
I will say this right now, because for what he is, the Gobbledygooker is not on my list, because what he is my childhood Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
He's not bad.
I will say this, he's not on my list either, because he didn't do anything. He was there to be a prop. The egg brought your attention to Survivor Series, and it birthed a Gobbledygooker, a chicken, if you will, a 24/7 champion. By the way, he is a championship competitor.
Yes, he truly is.
Whether Mark wants him to be or not.
What you guys have done to the Gobbledygooker or others, but his first, and this isn't going all renditions, but his very first rendition of just being the Gobbledygooker, doing his thing for the first couple years, he was a mascot.
He was
never a wrestler.
Exactly.
So I can't hate him.
Cannot.
So, good. So that's off the list. Everybody's now pissed off at us that he's not on this.
They're upset. I feel like it's like it's an upset, if you will.
Yeah.
An upset in college football or whatever it be.
Oh, we don't even need to talk about college football.
We don't need to, but it's just terrible.
So we don't talk about anything prior to hitting record. Back and forth? Let's go back and forth.
Back and forth.
Okay. You go first.
All right. My first one is I'm pulling him out of the depths of WCW, early 90s, late 80s. Arachnaman, the knockoff of Spider-Man. Just
one for one.
One for one.
I'm poaching somebody off my list.
That might be the worst gimmick Brad Armstrong and Mike Rotundo ever tried to do.
Brad Armstrong was such an amazing wrestler. Like, when I was really younger, and I was like a huge fan of like the Rock and Roll Express, the next favorite tag team of mine was Tim Horner and Brad Armstrong.
Yeah.
Like White Lightning. They were awesome. Brad went away for a while, came back as a Candyman, came back this. They pretty much gave him a Spider-Man suit, just different colors.
Yeah.
Arachnoman was around like 3 times.
Yeah.
And got fucking sued then because
it was
Spider-Man.
It was Spider-Man with different colored uniform.
Yeah. Horrible. Not just because they got sued and it wasn't good, that it was actually Spider-Man with purple and gold. It just, what could he do? Like,
there's just nothing. Yeah. It was to capitalize on the superhero. That's literally all it was. And it was a failed attempt at that.
Exactly. Bad. All right, ready?
Okay.
I'm going right off the bat. Eugene.
2 for 2 because I had Eugene. Go ahead.
We'll be PC as much as we can. It's somebody with a disability. Like, as you go back, and I wasn't a big fan of Eugene then, now, forever, because it's just not the right thing to do. You know, as much as I come across as I'm an asshole on this, I'm an asshole on that, man, people, how can I get this right? Because I don't want to sound like it's a disability. You shouldn't be making fun of that. As much as we pride ourselves on men's mental health or women's mental health or suicide awareness stuff, we should be talking about this as well, you know, autism, when I was in a walk-in, ADHD, and all of that. Speaking of which, Jenks, last weekend I watched a movie that came out earlier this year, and I just found it. Kimberly would love it. I think you would love it too. Out of My Mind. It was a Disney show about a girl with a disability that just wants to go to normal school. If you have not watched it, it's on. If you guys have Disney, I know it's definitely on that. It's probably on a ton of other things by now too. Out of My Mind. Unbelievable. Cried for being angry, cried for being disappointed, and cried for happiness. So it's a wonderful 2 hours that you'll have an emotional roller coaster.
Wow, I didn't even know that. Yeah, I don't even remember that coming out. Yeah,
I stumbled upon it prior to watching Full Gear, essentially.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But and I'm not knocking Dinsmore for his wrestling talent. He is a wonderful wrestler. This is all about gimmicks. This was just fucked up. It's Vince's fucked up mind saying, hey, let's have someone special being a professional wrestler and just mockery him. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, you took all the points right there. Nick Dinsmore was a good wrestler, right? He could have did a lot of different things. I think they could have tried to make him fit into the show somehow, some way. But yeah, this gimmick wasn't it. It was awkward. You felt bad back then. Like, I always felt weird watching it and I get it. They tried with different characters to kind of defend him and be in his corner, but it took a while for them to get there. So then there was those awkward interactions and that. It was Vince's twisted mind coming to fruition just because he wanted to see a character like that. Yeah. And he wanted to do some stupid shit with that. And it was inappropriate then. It's inappropriate now. So, yeah, just unreal. All right.
It's your turn, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Where do I go? I gotta do this one because I remember this as a fever dream, and I'm going to WCW back again, but the 2000s era, the Fat Chick Thriller, that 70s guy, Mike Awesome. If you remember those horrific
Yo.
Gimmicks.
Did not make the list. Did not make.
It
was horrible.
It was bad. I mean, you could pick and choose with WCW in that era too. These were just two, and I just feel like it's because he had to drop the title to the ECW title to Taz earlier in the year, that it was just a snowball effect from that, and it was pretty much, you're gonna do this, and that's the way it fucking is.
It really was, because he was kind of running ECW, not running it, but running ECW. He was getting noteworthy there.
Yeah.
And he gets brought over to WCW to be this.
Yes.
Didn't go over well. Then he became just essentially a hardcore wrestler where he was doing stuff off of buses and everything. As much as he probably wasn't making an ECW because of Paul not paying everybody.
Right.
He shouldn't have taken the money from WCW, because he might have had a better career.
I think he would have. Well, I think when ECW went away, WWE would have picked him right back up and ran the ball with it, like they did with Dreamer, RVD. Taz came over before that, but Taz to an extent, and that Mike Awesome just took the money and ran, and it unfortunately backfired on him too much. Rest in peace to him, but it kind of one of those things where that decision just was not good for him.
No, not at all. All right, Jenks. So this one is going to wrap up 3 people, because of course we can just bend our own rules. Okay, or at least I can. Glacier, Mordos, and Wrath. All of them. The Mortal Kombat 3. Essentially.
Yeah.
It was so hot back in that time. Finish him. Rip the head off and everything like that. Mordos is probably the one that got over the most.
Right.
And that was because of Chris Kanyon. Wrath was Adam Bomb, essentially turned back around, which throw Adam Bomb maybe on this list too.
Yeah.
And they spent so much money on Glacier for rights and this, that, and the other that it just didn't work. It just didn't work because he wasn't good.
No. Chris
Kanyon carried Mordos because he was a good professional wrestler. We've seen the dark side of the rings and all of that. The 3 of them I don't know. I feel like in that era that when they were supposed to be so big, it lasted 10 years, but most of them had maybe a 2-3 year run.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. That whole, I didn't have these on my list, but I didn't put Mordos on my list because it was Chris Kanyon. You know what I mean? And
that's why I put him
as
in the
a character. Yeah. But the gimmicks are what take it to the point. But I agree. The Mortal Kombat things were just forcing things down people's throats to take advantage of something that was out in pop culture. I go back to that 70s guy. They were taking advantage of that 70s show, its popularity, to force that kind of gimmick down people's throat. Of course, they were throwing other shit at the wall because that's all they knew what to do at that time. But going back to these characters, Mortal Kombat was hot. It was a tried and true thought. For some reason, since the 80s with Arachnaman, they thought, oh, we can take a pop culture reference and turn it into something huge. Probably because they finally got, it was before this time, but Hulk Hogan was pop culture, and pop culture was Hulk Hogan at one point in time. So they were trying to force the relationship together.
Too much.
Way too much. And it just turned out to be utter useless crap at that point.
Across the board. We brought up Arachnaman again. Did you ever watch the movie Arachnophobia?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Have you?
No.
I watched it here's the thing. I've watched it when I was a kid. I haven't watched it since, but it does come on Freeform every Halloween season.
Just missed it then.
I'll tell you what.
Maybe you'll have to send me a reminder.
No, I'm good. Let me tell you this. The ending is burned into my memory, and I don't want it to be. That's all I'll say about that.
We had the book read to us in 8th grade.
Oh.
Okay, so take all of that.
Oh, God.
Our English teacher was reading us a book in 8th grade.
Yeah.
10, 20 minutes out of every class, she would read Arachnophobia to us. Not to do a report or anything, just to read us a book. In 8th grade.
Great. She must have really loved that book.
Yeah. Go ahead. This is why specials are usually longer than the regular show.
So, yeah, I know, because we just go off deep end. Bring back memories we've long since forgotten.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta go. I mentioned him last time inadvertently, but this will be a perfect segue, so I'll use it. Do you remember Evad Sullivan, the dyslexic Hulkamaniac?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then he became Dave.
Then he became Dave, which was good, but that it's similar to what you, Jane, had. It was an unfortunate thought. It was something that should not have been brought to the forefront and should not have been done at all.
I don't know if he's on your list then, but is Festus on your list?
I thought about it, but I didn't put Festus on my list.
Okay. Because like those three then are kind of...
Those three kind of work together. I thought about Festus too. And it was like...
Yeah.
It's just poor taste and everything. And and they were trying to capitalize off of Hulkamania and have like a diehard fan, but for some reason they had to put this twist on it. It was just bad.
It just didn't work. It really didn't work then.
Yeah.
And it just, not that it had anything to carry on, but it just, I don't even know if you can, I'm sure you can find the clips, this, that, and the other, but it was just bad.
Well, I stumbled across the theme song for it, and I forgot about that one. And yeah, it's bad.
So is that something we should be talking about, worst theme song sometimes too?
I think we might need to, because that one definitely jumps on the list.
Worst is so much funner to do than best. Because everybody was like, yeah, I remember how bad he sucked.
It sucked.
Girls in Cars will not be on the worst theme song, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
I do remember that one coming up in our best theme song episode.
Yeah, that's because I loved it.
Yeah.
Next up for me, Bastion Booger.
Yeah.
I was okay with Friar Ferguson because it's the same person.
Right.
Okay? Because as we get down this line, we might really start talking about others that we have on each other's list, but I'm going to start. The working era of the WWF, of one of our favorite people, Duke the Dumpster, or IRS, or, the likes of that, I was okay with Friar Ferguson. Yeah. Because the poor monk was just trying to make his way. The Bastion Booger was just disgusting. Like, he was always eating or picking or whatever. But his clothes is what really disgusted me. Like, he was just, rest in peace. But bigger men, like Bundy, even that singlet was okay. But Booger's was like, they made it that you had to not look, but look at areas. And it was like, it's just disgusting.
Yeah.
Plus, what the hell is Bastion Booger? Like, it's just...
Yeah, it was literally just a thing. It seemed like Vince went the opposite direction because, if I remember correctly, they couldn't do Friar Ferguson because they got sued or something like that. So he went
probably from the San Diego Padres.
Yeah. But so then he goes the exact opposite, just saying, oh, you're a booger eater now, just fucking deal with it, and that's how it is.
That was really Vince on the show, by the way. Jenks stepped away for a minute. That was Vince on the show.
Yeah, I wish you know what? I wish I didn't see him. So that's great. I'm hoping he's doing whatever. But yeah, he's just, that was my child. I just remember him just slopping himself up, and it's like,
he actually ended up at an event in St. Mary's, because that's where they had all the shows, about 10 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we kind of got like front row, and he was just like, again, we're not being mean, he was portrayed just to be a ball of shit, essentially.
Yeah. He's the reason now I get very self-conscious about the way my clothes look, at least from a standpoint of stains and spots and all that shit. Yes. I can't do it now because of him.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I cannot look like Bastion Booger. And I say that, and people that don't watch wrestling are like, what the fuck are you talking about? People younger than 30 or 25 don't know anything about Bastion Booger, but
I hope a lot of people do a lot of hits on these to find out who they are, if you don't remember them.
Look them up.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of disgusting, but also only around for a little bit of time, do you remember Fantasio? The magician who made people's underwear disappear?
Yeah. Outright
just
stupid.
It was 100% stupid.
Wrestling is magic anyway, with my air quotes, and to have this on top of it
was just
over. Just way too much over the top that you're like, whoa. But he wasn't around for...
He was around for maybe a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
The coffee didn't even get cold at that point, but
no.
It was one time, and it was always enough to stick with me. So, yeah, fuck that guy.
When you were doing your research, did you watch a lot of matches of these people?
I was poking around because I remember names, and then I was like, well, I have to remember. I had to look it up to see what they did. I remember Fantasimo was stealing underwear. And I remember, I think it was Jack Doan. He stole his it was underwear from him, and it was ref-colored underwear. Yeah. If I remember that correctly.
I think it was,
it was ref-striped underwear. So I was definitely pulling clips and being like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Nice. All right, Jenks. So I hopped eras here as well.
Okay.
Because you're going to understand why. Max Moon.
Oh, man, you took it off my list. Yep.
/ Gravity. Fucking hate both of them. Whoever Gravity is probably... This is nothing against Max Moon, by the way. This is just so I could get there. Whoever Gravity is, and you knew this was coming, whoever Gravity is, could be Bob Smith, could be Booker C, could be whomever he can be, and probably an amazing professional wrestler. Gravity's just stupid. Not the gravity that keeps us here, but just the whole outrun of this Gravity. Cool. Guess what? Neville what was his thing?
The man who that Gravity forgot. Yeah.
Right. If you want to have something like that in your, name, your whatever, you just can't slow walk to the ring like Neil Armstrong was when he was walking on the moon. That's when you lost me, Gravity. You are bad. To get back to Max Moon, though, real quick.
This seemed like just a segue to shit on Gravity.
Maybe. To get back to Max Moon, though, it was too much in that era.
Yeah.
Yep. His stuff was so big in the ring. Like, the shoes, the extra protection, like, he looked like he was getting ready for, we needed to do dog training, and they let him loose, and you have to wiggle that big padding around, or a goalie. He just looked like he was wrestling and like that stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, everybody knew it was Pat Tanaka, who was an amazing professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And he gets thrown into this.
Yep. And at that time it was Conan too, wasn't it? Didn't he jump into it?
Conan did it a couple times too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that always got me is when he tried to do his entrance on the stairs and he acted like he had boosters to push himself up. And he did it during the Rumble the one year, and I've never stopped cackling at that in my life. Especially rewatching it back all these years. It was just so bad. Like, it was, that time period for Vince was golden shit on a shingle. He was throwing shit because he thought it was funny. Or he thought it was hilarious, so he's gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I know.
Yeah, and he didn't start taking
I got more from that
era
era coming up, so don't worry.
Oh, I think, here's what I was trying to do. Because I have some from that era too, but I was also like, man, I got to go outside that era because if I stay there, I'm going to get all 25 from that era.
I know, but I didn't know if you were going to pull any from that era.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And yeah, that's fair.
Plus, that was just my segue to piss on Gravity.
You just wanted to piss on Gravity with that whole thing. That's all that was. You could have just said Gravity, but you were like,
I could.
I'm going to pull the wool over people's eyes, Max Moon first, and then I'm going to just lash out.
It's all about the content, right?
It is. Okay, my next guy.
I don't even know how many we're in, by the way.
Did that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I think we're at 4 apiece right now. So. Okay. Yeah, because I marked off the 2 you did that were mine. So, the next one I have, I must have been really on a kick for being PC because I needed to go back to this one. Chavo Guerrero as Kerwin White.
Oh, knock him off my list.
Yeah, the Caucasian golfer was something fucking else. He was very preppy. He wrestled a couple times. Dolph Ziggler joined him at one point to be his caddy. The ultimate end of the character came, unfortunately, with the untimely passing of Eddie. But this character was god-awful and should never have existed whatsoever.
PC or not,
yeah,
this character was god-awful. Like, yes, we shouldn't have done it on the PC realm.
Right.
What did it really mean that he's just a homemaker that wanted to be a wrestler?
Yeah, it's just the golf.
Isn't that a fan? Isn't that me? Isn't that you?
Isn't that every professional wrestler that comes through it at their core?
But he didn't stand out either, though. It was just.
He didn't, well, and I think because he didn't stand out, it was like, I think a lot of people were like, why the fuck is Chavo being this guy?
Yeah.
So there was just confusion, with that. It made no sense.
No sense whatsoever. Alright, so I'll go again to, Vince just being Vince. And this may be, and you notice that we're not ranking them, but this may be, honestly, one of the top number ones for me. Because his mind, which you can still see in professional wrestling today, doing amazing things.
Yeah.
You go back and watch, you don't even know who I'm talking about yet.
Mind, bring it in.
You go back and watch maybe some World Class or some UWF, you'll see that Terry Taylor was unbelievable. Or even Terrence Taylor in the York Foundation was unbelievable. You strap him with a fucking Red Rooster gimmick where he's got to go around clucking and he has the top of his hair painted red. How can this poor SOB ever be considered to be, oh my God, Terry Taylor's going to be able to take on Hulk Hogan and win? As he's going around rubbernecking, WWF ruined him because everybody would then put him as a Red Rooster the rest of his life.
When you corner somebody and say, you're going to be a fucking rooster, you can never break out of that because you have to, and give Terry his credit during that time, he was dedicated to his craft, so he was going to go all out for it to go over. Unfortunately, going all out for something that's dead in the water as soon as it comes to fruition.
It was even thought about.
You're not going to get anywhere, and it's going to screw you for the rest of your career. Yeah. It's a good thing that people saw the brains behind the man and the gimmicks, because that's where Terry Taylor comes in now and can be influential at the PC and helping people out, helping young stars develop. But when you're god-awful strapped with that terrible gimmick,
you're done.
You're done. You're absolutely done.
And I think Vince did it because I think there might have been a chance, and this is, I don't know, like he would have gotten bigger pushes in WCW to maybe a title or being, up against Flair and get, because he was that good. Terry Taylor was Moxley, was Bret Hart, was, so I can get kind of all realms. He didn't need a gimmick. His gimmick was he was a good fucking wrestler. Danielson. Yep.
But now he gets forgotten because you're strapped with that gimmick.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about it.
It really is.
You bringing up Terry had another person pop into my head that I didn't have on my list, but I want to talk about, so I'm going to count it as my next guy.
Sure.
Texas Tornado. Kerry Von Erich was a star, and he should have been more of a star. But the Texas Tornado gimmick itself kind of limited him in what he could be, in my opinion. Because namesake alone, he could have been a superstar if they just let him be Kerry Von Erich.
I like that, and this doesn't get talked about enough. Like, we know, if you've seen the movies and many documentaries or anything like that, we know that they were strapped with so much problems.
Yeah.
Vince only brought him over to deaden World-Class Championship Wrestling.
Exactly.
And then he's from Texas. What's in Texas? Oh, there's tornadoes.
Let's have him spin around.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't help himself probably when he was in the WWF, but the Texas Tornado did injustice to the Von Erichs.
Yep. Limited him very much so in what the name was and what he was. And I think Vince, at some capacity, also thought, well, this will prevent either A, it will kill the organization, but B, he probably was thinking the Von Erichs are more WCW bound than anything because of the South connection there. So he wanted to kill it right then and there. They worked with NWA a lot. It was a time to kill anything that had anything to do with WCW. And that he took advantage of that. So you can argue Tornado, he got the Intercontinental title, etc. End of the day, he was very limited in what he could do, and it tore down. It basically killed an entire dynasty.
Yeah. My next one, Jenks, again, because I'm just Mark, was anything that Brutus the Barber Beefcake was after Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Anything from
100 Zodiac?
Yeah.
The Apostle.
All of them.
Brother Brudai.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta name them all because it's in my head. It's gotta name, you name it, pick one.
Right.
It's just,
Because when it was the dream team of Beefcake and Valentine, one of my favorite tag teams growing up. They were the heels, so loved them. They did their thing. Jimmy Hart, yada, yada, yada. Then they broke up, and that's okay. It became a barber, at least.
Yeah.
But then it just, listen, he's had, again, Jenks named some of them. I think this is the man that's had the most gimmicks in professional wrestling. Kevin Nash is getting there, so maybe he's going to be on my list too. But, like, he just, and it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. The Disciple, the Apocalypse, the this, the that, the this. You can only sugarcoat shit. You know, I'm not saying anything about his wrestling. You can only sugarcoat shit so much that it still resembles shit.
Shit, yeah. You can't polish a turd.
That's the problem. Yeah,
I like the sugarcoating the shit, though. That's something that I like that.
Yeah. So anything after he had the heel tag team and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, after that, garbage.
Yeah, I would. Man, you made me think. I'm not going there.
Are we going to Kevin Nash? Is that what you were thinking?
Well, no, I was going to go the Dungeon of Doom minus probably the Giant, but that doesn't need to be discussed. That should probably be well, the whole thing was just shit. The whole story.
We need to talk about the Yeti.
Yeah, we have to talk about the Yeti. I'll use the Yeti as mine, because the Yeti was God.
He couldn't do anything.
He was a mummy. First of all, he was a mummy called a Yeti.
Right.
Second of all, he couldn't do a fucking thing.
Because he couldn't bend. So he couldn't even do the one thing that he was supposed to do of a bear hug.
And it led to one of the most awkward endings to a pay-per-view ever. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, I think it was Halloween Havoc 95. I think. Because it was when Hogan faced the Giant. Yes, because I went on that WCW rewatch at one point and watched all the Nitros. Halloween Havoc 95. They basically, just go watch that. Go find the clip, look up Yeti, you're going to find it. I
will
hate
yourself. You will
regret it to live long end, but oh my God.
Just stupid. Just spending money.
To spend money.
It was bad.
Yeah.
But you're right. The whole Dungeon of Doom, it could have been.
It could have been something special, but as soon as they brought out Earthquake as Shark, lost it all. I lost all faith in it, and that was right at the beginning.
Yeah. Right?
Lost
the very first thing, the very best thing was when Kevin Sullivan, the vignette probably before anybody was announced, you're like, oh my God, what's this going to be? The following week, you're like, oh no, this isn't going to be good.
This is going to be crap.
Don't forget, at some point, we'll have a worst gimmick matches. I'm sure the Dungeon of Doom is involved in two of them.
Oh, 100%.
Well, we're going this way then, because there's still more on the list. We're just going to keep going until we say, hey, that's probably enough, essentially. They built this guy up to be unbelievable. He stumbles, fucks the wall up, mask comes off. But Jenks, I don't even care that happened, okay?
Yeah.
Let's say, and I'm talking about the Shockmaster. Let's say that moment did not happen, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So he comes in, he breaks through the wall, and he scares everybody away during that one thing. He wasn't wrestling with that Star Wars mask on, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't think so.
They would have gotten away with the Shockmaster moment that we all we make fun of now.
Mm-hmm.
for a couple weeks. We're like, oh my God, who is this guy? First match, he takes it off, and it's Typhoon. Where was this gimmick going after?
Yeah.
So I almost believe him tripping and falling through the wall has kept him credible. More so than if he would have actually had a match. Yeah. I mean, and taken the mask off.
I would agree with that. I think the other disservice they did to your point, because everybody knew him as Typhoon, Tugboat, whatever it was, if they would have done it, pulled a Vader, put a mask on him, takes off the mask, he still has another mask on him. Maybe you would be able to tell who it is, but at the same token, you could also play it off as, who the hell is this guy? He's massive.
If you have good commentary, we can pretend like we don't know.
No, exactly. And what didn't also help Shockmaster is the guys on stage breaking down laughing. They could not hold it together. Davey Boy Smith lost it. Sting could barely hold it together. It was one of those things where it was just a calamity of errors that kind of just took it down.
Yeah.
And they tried their best with it. I think he ended up in the War Games match at one point, but the writing was on the wall.
Yeah. Just bad.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go with the man that
they call Sting?
Oh. No. Oh, that would have been a good one too. Fake Sting. Ah, damn it. Anyways.
I thought about throw them out there. I thought about fake Sting, fake Diesel, and fake Razor.
Fake Razor. Avoided all of them. Yeah.
All of them.
Now we're going to go with the man that basically assaulted Vince McMahon to get out of his contract, and it was only there for about 6 months or whatever, and had one feud. I'm going Nails. Him and Boss Man fought for the nightstick on the pole. And then he went backstage, not the timeline, but he went backstage, basically punched Vince, and then it was over.
I thought about this one for a while, and I'm like, Nails should definitely be on the list. He didn't do anything, but I'm like, well, there's a cop, so there needed to be a robber. I'm like, well, maybe. He was probably 15 on the list, essentially. Yeah. He was going to get there. But after other things that he did, he's like, he's just a horrible human being, let alone...
Yeah. He got what he deserved, essentially, with that.
Yeah.
And we can leave it at that. But, yeah, Nails was just... I get what they were trying to do. But at that time, I believe Repo Man was around, so you could have just found him and just did it that way.
Right?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But, hey, Nails it is.
Probably going to get some hate on this one.
Okay.
Vicky Guerrero.
Okay. All right.
The excuse me, and I know there's people are going to say, well, Mark, you're from back in the day of I Love You, of Brother Love, or some of the things. Right. Vicky coming from the family of, the Guerreros being married, just raised in her corner as well. All of this could have just been enough.
Yeah.
Of the whole, and I know when she was GM, that's when she started the excuse me and yada, yada, yada. It was just too much. Like, it was just, those two words didn't need to be her gimmick.
Yeah.
Her name is Terry Taylor, is Von Erich, is Flair, is this. That could have been enough. She just became Vicky, excuse me, essentially some places. Or excuse me, Vicky. However, we forgot that she was by marriage, whatever, a Guerrero, but still had it.
Right.
Right? So, the Excuse Me Vicky Guerrero is on my list.
Yeah, I get that one. But it made her easy to hate, so I didn't. That's kind of in my mind. I was like, that makes her a good heel. Because she's easy to hate. She does the job. She shows up. You hate her. We're engaged, right? So to me, that made sense. I get it. The gimmick revolved around the Excuse Me, and then it lacked after that. If she would have just stuck with the Guerrero name, didn't do the La Familia business that they did in the late aughts, it probably would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go. I know he had a decent run in WCW for many years. I thought it was the stupidest gimmick that they had. Disco Inferno was just a god-awful gimmick that somehow extended for 5 years or however long he lasted in WCW. At first he was getting beat up on the way to the ring. He was just dancing, getting beat up. Then he finally wrestled. Then he was just a pain in the ass. I don't know.
I linked 3 people in this because actually on my list too. Disco Inferno, Alex Wright, which is called Das Wunderkid,
yeah,
and Ernest the Cat Miller.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. Just
the dancing gimmick did not, yeah.
It never does.
No, it doesn't. But the Funkadactyls and Funkasaurs, it didn't catch on. I'll lump those 3 in there.
Fandango,
yeah. Dancing does not.
Who had Summer Rae with him.
Yeah.
None of them are there anymore.
No. They had to find other ways to continue being there for a long period of time.
Yeah. Dango is now Dirty Dango on the Indies. Brodus Clay is, I think, officially done.
Yeah.
Naomi's the only one that kind of swerved.
Yeah, and had a good career. Had a great career. And is still going strong.
Yeah. Cameron has now, I think, I believe, has kind of done some stuff on the Indies here and there.
Yeah.
Disco is, if you want to look up his real name, find out who he is. He's just a rough human being, too.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Ernest Miller and Das Wunderkid, I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know either.
Nor we probably shouldn't care.
Rest
in peace if that's that. I don't mean it like that,
but you don't think about them,
right?
Because that's how forgettable it was.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the only reason Brodus has been relevant is he was in NWA recently, and he's gone more to the political commentary side of things to keep his name relevant, and that's what he does.
But is he really relevant in wrestling anymore?
Even
after the NWA thing, which everybody said worst NWA champion ever.
Exactly. But now that he's out of there, he's not relevant.
Yeah.
In a wrestling world, no longer relevant. And that's just dancing gimmicks in general. They don't last.
Don't do it.
Yep.
No. So I have 2 more linked together because I'm just that guy.
Okay.
I loved it as a child, probably because his song. And the other one just doesn't make any sense. So it's Outback Jack and Skinner.
Oh, okay.
Outback Jack, his entrance song was so good. He did clotheslines backwards, which kind of made me mad because it was called a boomerang, and then you would do it the right way. But how long could that last? And then Skinner, wrestled alligators. So I don't know. Like Skinner would actually, and I can't talk because I partake in snuff, chewing whatever tobacco. But they allowed him to chew or spit on himself before he went to the ring. And he had it in his beard.
Yeah, it was just a disgust. He was bashing Booker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just from the swamps. They would allow him to chew and have Red Man and stuff. I'm sure other wrestlers were like, dude, can you just get like coffee grounds and rub it in your beard to make it look
like it?
But, yeah, but back in that day, you were allowed to chew, and I'm like, oh my god. Again, Alligator Hunter and just I don't know. I don't know if Outback Jack was just because he was Australian. Kangaroo catcher. Like, nobody actually knew what he was just from Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, my next one plays along that line, but it's not because of a nationality is. It's because of the unfortunate color of his skin at this point for why they made him do this. Saba Simba from Tony Atlas.
Yeah.
Again, my list is very PC heavy, but for fuck's sake. This was
Tony fucking Atlas.
Yeah.
Mr. America.
People knew who he was.
Yeah.
And you made him do this.
Yeah. So if we're throwing that one on the list, and this one just came to my mind too.
Yeah.
Akeem?
The African Dream, yeah.
Everybody knew it was a one-man gang.
Mm-hmm. And it was the spit in Dusty's face.
Exactly. This is the only reason why Akeem, the African Dream, was a thing.
Yep.
To mock Dusty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those two, I don't even need to go into.
Yeah. No, I don't think we need to explain those two.
Fuck them. Anyway, those gimmicks were terrible. All right. Anyways.
Is it my turn again?
Yeah, I think it's your turn again.
My list is officially done, but
okay.
Because we've crossed so many off. But I do have another one. I do have one more that was kind of just there. And it was because of a movie that he got several matches. And this person could not wrestle.
Oh. I know who
it is. It was Zeus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing against Tiny Lester.
Yep.
Nothing against him. He was perfect for the movie. He could do the movie part of it. Then you get him in a match. And that's why you have movie stars and you have wrestlers. Or you have wrestlers that can go to movie stars. Or you could have movies. But they all can't.
No, they can't.
He couldn't.
And generally, if the bigger they are, the more they can't.
Yeah. Zeus. How many more do you have on your list? Because I could continue to go.
I'll say this. I can stop the list now, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least say this last one, because I put it on here for the joke. And I'm going to tell it to you now. Mantar walks so Beast Mortis could run. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
I looked at Mantar.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm going to get emotional here for a second. I thought, man, this is definitely by far the stupidest one out there.
Yes.
I couldn't put it on due to the fact that, like, weeks before his passing, we were setting something up to be on the show. That's why.
Yeah.
You're right. And I'm not, so don't throw Jenks under the bus.
No.
But you're right. Absolutely horrible gimmick.
It was a terrible gimmick. The reason I wasn't going to go in on this gimmick because of that, and I knew that story. I was also like, just for fun, because we're doing worst gimmicks, I had to throw that out there because of Beast Mortos. I do find him entertaining. It's sad the way that all worked out at the end of it. And I think it would have been a great interview and whatnot. It would have been fantastic. But the gimmick itself, sometimes you're just stuck with some shit. And you have to make chicken salad.
Yeah, it's a normal guy
with racing stripes. Like, you can't. I I have a special one for you. This isn't a gimmick.
Is this you're trying to piss me off now?
No. This is how to piss you off. This is what I just came up with. Actually, I've made the tournament in my mind while we were doing this, but I'm just going to stick with the one match right now. Okay, you ready?
If you want to do a tournament of this, by the way, I think this is something we do. Like, we put it on website, we make people vote. It could be NCAA style, because I'm sure we can get 64 people in this fucking tournament.
Honestly, we probably fucking could. Okay, I like that idea.
More on that.
We'll work out logistics after recording.
Yeah, this is something we won't do until after the extreme holidays, by the way.
Yeah. But what I wanted to do was this. There are gimmicks that people have had, multiple gimmicks, and I'm like, I just want to throw out at you a 3-on-3 match, and you tell me who would win this. Okay? So 6-man tag. Big Boss Man.
I'm going to hate you right now.
There it is. Big Boss Man, Guardian Angel, Bubba Rogers versus Papa Shango, Kama Mustafa, Godfather.
Now listen. Because I have one for you then, too.
Okay.
So, we have... Kama Mustafa is so tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the supreme fighting machine.
Exactly.
Papa Shango is unbelievable. The weak link of that is the Godfather. Okay?
Yeah.
Big Bubba Rogers scared the Christ out of me. With Jim Cornette and everybody.
Yeah.
Big Boss Man's a correctionals officer. What was the other one that you called him? Oh, the Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
He sucked.
He was bad. Yeah.
He was outright bad. I think it would be a great match.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were actually going Mick Foley, because these aren't bad ones, by the way.
Yeah.
But Mick Foley, Dude Love, or Cactus Jack, or Mankind, because he can have a 4-on-4 match with Kevin Nash, Oz, Vinny Vegas, or Diesel.
It wasn't even. It wasn't Nash, but there was somebody else who had multiple gimmicks that you said. I can't remember who it was, but I was like, oh my God. I had this matchup set. Ray versus Charles. I had their gimmicks set. You said somebody listed off their gimmicks. I'm like, oh, I could make a tournament out of this. And I literally thought Cactus Jack, Mankind, Dude Love. And that's the 4 gimmick. I could do that would be the 1 seed, and then we'd figure it out from there. But
we'd have to give, I don't have a match for you. I'm joking, by the way.
That's fine.
Or we will.
Yeah.
We can get to Al Snow against Leaf Cassidy.
Yeah.
The avatar that he was.
Yeah. And then you have Spark Plug Bob Holly, Hardcore Holly. I think there's one other one out there I could grab. Yeah.
So we've just created more work for us. But this is going to be fun.
This is going to be good. Maybe it's an honor. Maybe we think about this, but maybe it's an honor of the Continental Classic. Maybe we throw together a tournament and have people vote on it.
Yeah. I mean, sure. We'll have to do it quickly then.
Well,
I was thinking after.
Well, we can do it after, but I meant like just because it's going to be going on the whole month of. Yeah, after the holidays and that. In response, we'll throw something together.
Yeah, we'll get a tournament going of worst gimmicks.
We'll work out the logistics.
Yeah, there's a tournament coming.
There's a tournament coming. Stuff. We'll work out the logistics of it because I have an idea now, so we're fine. But
you don't need to know this on air. Do you have anything else? You have one that you're in your back pocket to shit on before we go off of the air.
No, I'll leave it go.
Oh, you're thankful. Plus, it's his number 1 person in the bracket, so we'll have to leave it at that.
He's not at number 1. Well, he could be number 1. Anyways.
Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. Shut up, Jenks.
You're a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them.
Because you never know.